Hello, this is Sudhakar Moparthi. Welcome to Crowdsourced AI project. Today we're going to look at EC2 high-level c1c2 diagram to understand AWS EC2 concept. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, this is the documentation for Amazon EC2. EC2 has these following features. What is EC2? Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon EC2. Okay, so these are virtual computing environments known as instances. So you got instances. So let me draw a circle. So there are lots of instances. One, two, three. I can launch all these instances because basically each one is like a virtual machine. Pre-configured templates for your instances known as Amazon machine images. So there are Amazon AMIs. Okay, that's one AMI. This is a different type of AMI. Or maybe I should just indicate with a different symbol. This is another AMI. This is another AMI. So three different AMIs. And now this AMI launched using this AMI, we launched these instances. So I need an image to launch the instances. So basically it is saying that I can launch one or more instances from an image. It's like a template. What does the image has? It has all the details about operating system, additional software. So this image has operating system. Maybe it is Windows. And this one maybe Windows or Linux. So this may be Linux, let's say. So you got Windows or Linux. So this AMI, Windows AMI, Windows Image AMI or Linux AMI. And when I launch, I get a Windows machine. And when I launch this, I get a Linux machine. So I can launch any of these type of machines. Various configurations of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity for your instance known as instance types. Each instance, this is the image I can put on. I need to have an instance type. So basically instance type, let's say this type is different from this type. And this one is a different type. Okay. So that instance type oops, why is it not writing? Okay, instance type. Okay, this is the instance. Other instances. These are AMIs. Okay. Those instance types. Each instance type has a certain amount of memory and storage and networking capacity. So we can think of this as, let's say, uh, this instance type may have two CPUs, CPU count, compute unit. We'll see, and this instance may have, you can say this will have four CPU. Okay, and then this instance may have some memory. Let's say a 2 gigs RAM. Okay. So like that, we can have different instance types. So you have an image, you can launch instances, and those instances are of different types. There are some names. Okay, T2 micro, M3, M4, like that. There are instance types, and each instance type has a certain number of CPUs, a certain amount of RAM, and certain amount of storage attached to it. So you select the AMI, you launch by selecting a instance type, and you will get your machine. Okay. Secure login information for your instances using key pairs. AWS stores the public key and key store the private key in a secure place. Okay. So to get to this instance or to launch this, you need a key pair, public key infrastructure, they call it. Okay. So you need a key pair. And then it has a public key, and then it has a private key. So the connection would be every instance should have a key pair, and then it has a public key and private key. Key pair, public. This one is private key. Okay, so we got that instance, and we can launch using this key pair, and public key is stored with AWS stores, and private key we store. That means we keep it in our local machine. All right. So this whole key pair, we can talk about as a separate topic. But for now, think of this as like keys to get into, like the keys to get into the house. You can think of that like that. All right. Storage volumes for temporary data that is deleted when you stop, hibernate, terminate, or instance, known as instance store volumes. So you can have hard disk storage, two types. One is instance store, other one is EBS store. So the difference between those two is this one, instance store volume, EBS volume. So let us say this machine has a instance store volume. It's like a hard disk. And this one has EBS store, EBS hard disk, EBS type of thing, elastic block store, elastic block store. Suppose when I delete this machine, the data that is stored here is also lost, and this will be removed. So when you launch it again, you cannot, you will lose the data. So if you want to persist it, then you should attach a EBS volume, and then when you delete this, you can specify whether this should be deleted or not, and you can retain it. So when you relaunch a new instance, and then you can attach this EBS volume to that. So that's the difference. This is when you delete, or if it stopped and restarted, things like that, this machine, then this thing is gone. So that's the main difference between instance stores and EBS stores, EBS volume. Multiple physical locations for your resources, such as instances and Amazon EBS volumes, known as regions and availability zones. So finally, these machines are there somewhere in a physical location. So what Amazon did is they divided the world into some regions, geographical regions. We have US East, US West, Asia Pacific, like that, Europe. And in each region, they created something, availability zones. They created availability zones. So they put these availability zones inside, connected these regions into these availability zones. One region got these two regions. Let's say US East, East 1, East 2. This is Europe. This is Asia Pacific, like that. Okay. So they have created these regions and availability zones. So there are some codes for each of these things. We'll see. So US East, East 1, US East 2, like that. US West, US West 1, US West 2, like that. You know, there will be availability zones. So when you are launching a machine, what you are doing is this machine is in this particular zone. US West 1. So US West 1 is in US West, like that. And this machine maybe, this one may be in a different availability zone. A firewall that enables you to specify protocols, ports, and source IP ranges that can reach your instances using security groups. There is another concept called security groups. I can define a whole bunch of security groups. Security group 1, security group 2, security group 3, etc. And then I can connect, I can attach this instance to this security group. And this instance maybe to a different security group. Now in this security group, I can specify a IP address. That means only Sudhakar can log in Sudhakar's IP address, home office address, home IP address. And this one is a different security group, and this is a different IP addresses. So let's say these are two IP addresses that are allowed for that security group. So that means this machine can be accessed from these two IP addresses only. If I try to, if this is my home and I try to connect it to this machine, I will not, because this security group is allowing me only to this IP address. That means this location is where I have to be on that machine, and I can connect to that other machine. So these are two security groups, the concept of security groups. Security groups. Static IP4 addresses for dynamic cloud computing known as elastic IP addresses. So these machines have to have an IP address. So they can be static. If we can define some static IP addresses, so that means they don't change. Because why? Sometimes that is important. Because we may use these IP addresses in other places configuring, and when you delete this machine and then relaunch, it may get assigned a new IP address. So we want to put we can have some elastic IP address. If there will be a charge for each IP address, static IP address. So this is part of the networking concepts. So we'll see those things in detail. But for now, think of this as each machine has an address. Every machine has to have an address. Metadata known as tags that you can create and assign to your Amazon EC2 resources. We already know the tag concept. Every machine can be tagged. So I can tag this machine with whatever the tag. Every tag has a key and a value, which we have seen in the past. So that is the same concept. Virtual networks you can create that are logically isolated from the rest of the AWS cloud. You can optionally connect to a network known as virtual private clouds, VPCs. So the whole internet is Amazon cloud, you have. So in that, I can create my own VPC and virtual private cloud, and then I can put my machines there. So that means this machine that I launched should be part of one VPC. So that it is only my VPC. Skill bank has one VPC. So all skill bank machines will be inside this VPC. I can have another VPC for a different account, and I can launch machines, or I can create for the same account a different VPC, so that the machines in this VPC will be isolated from the machines in this VPC. So like that, we can control where the machines will be in which private cloud. Each private cloud itself is a network, so we will talk about networking concepts separately, like subnets and all. So that's all I want to talk today. I guess it's a lot of arrows here. So let me conclude here. So you got Amazon machine images, a lot of there are templates from using which I can launch these instances, and these instances belong to different types. Basically, it is saying what type of machine. Does it have 2 CPU, or does it have 4 CPU computing units, or does it have 2 gigabit of RAM or 4 GB of RAM, things like that. And each machine, in order to launch, you need a key pair. So it's like a key to get in security, to launch, to get into it. If you want to log in into that Linux machine, or that machine itself, you need that key pair. So this is a public key, private key concept, and every key pair has a public key and private key concept. That's why we attach that. And then Amazon stores the public key, and you always keep the private key. We'll talk about that later. Then what else? You got this image can be Windows or Linux operating system. Then this machine, once we launch, that may belong to a security group to control who can access from which IP addresses. Can I log in from my home or not, kind of thing. So we can define what is a security group and IP ranges and etc. So this is another type of resource. And this machine will be in a availability zone, and availability zone is in some region, and regions are nothing but US East, US West, Asia Pacific, Europe, like that. In US East, you have availability East 1, East 2. So we want to tell in what region, availability zone. This is availability zone. So these words are important. Availability zone. Availability zone. And then finally, the whole thing will be in a private cloud. Public cloud means internet. Private cloud is inside my Amazon account. I can create my own network of computers. I can put all my computers in one VPC or multiple VPCs. But let's say Skillbank has one VPC. So So that's all at a high level, this EC2 machines and configuration and launching and all. So read the documentation, and you should understand once you log in into your account, you should be able to understand these words and launch machines. All right. Thanks a lot. That's all for today.